I feel like all I get done these days is recording videos of myself crying. Um, I was told when we started the adoption process that it was not for the faint of heart. I probably had 3 people say that exact phrase to me. And they are so right. It is not for the faint of heart. We made our match video this past weekend to share with everyone that we've been matched and that just to share the news that we're basically expecting a baby. And I have not posted it. Corey was editing it, and we were going to put it on our personal Facebook pages and stuff like that to share with family and friends the news that we are matched with a baby due very soon. And I didn't get it posted, and good thing, because I just got off the phone with one of the social workers from our agency, and our birth mom is, she's not my birth mom, right? She's this baby's mom and potential birth mom. I'm still learning all the adoption language, so everyone please be gracious with me. Basically, she's either been non-communicative or she's even let on that she's considering parenting. And I respect that 100% and understand where she's coming from. But at the same time, she has chosen us, and we've spoken with her, and we've texted, and we are building a new relationship. And we are building our entire lives around the fact that we're going to have a baby in 4 weeks. And even to the point where there was this really cool job opportunity for me, and it literally collided with the due date of the baby. And so it's the same week that the baby is due, the job would start. And they even talked about maybe doing a different start date, but it's too much to try to think about having a brand new child, brand new teeny baby, traveling to another state, waiting on paperwork, and then as soon as I got back, I'd be hitting the ground running with a brand new job. Even though a year ago I would have freaked out for this job and been so excited about it. And I'm just praying about it and talking with my husband and thinking about the logistics. I just cannot do both. And so I guess it was 4 or 5 days ago, I just emailed the folks that I was chatting with about the job opportunity and said, I am so sad to not walk forward with the process, the hiring process. And they have known my story and have they know me well, and so they understand, and they've been so kind about it. But I think all sides were all disappointed that the timing isn't better. But here I am well, if the adoption's not going to happen, then I can do this position. And because it's another thing for me to do this, let's say this adoption's not going to happen and we're not going to be matched for another 7-8 months, a year, who knows how long. Well, then I can be working in this position and get learn it and get it underway. And then if we're matched and have a baby later, it would be different than trying to do it all at once, And so I could maybe take a little small leave or whatever. It's just, I don't know. I just feel so overwhelmed and sad because, yeah, I've been buying a few things for the baby, and the nursery is coming along, and we've told our family. We even took a little time when we were together last to give presents to my parents, and they opened them and got to tell them, just that we're matched and the baby's coming and the due date and all of that stuff. And so, and how adoption works is while you're matched, your profile's not being shown to any other potential birth moms, the expectant moms who are considering adoption. And that makes sense because you're matched with someone else. So you don't need to be shown to all these other people. But at the same time, it's there could be someone out there that is the perfect match for our family, who is certain that this is the path for them, while we're in a situation where the mom is uncertain. And I can imagine that anyone placing for adoption is going to have emotions that ebb and flow, and that it's grief. It's and I get it. I don't get it because I've never been in that position, but I have been through some really hard things, and I can imagine that they want to do anything they can in their power to not place because they want their child. And again, I don't know that specific story, but I do know what it's like to do anything in your power for your child. And with our story with our son that we lost, because we did everything in our power to keep him. So in that sense, I can relate to a potential birth mom who is in a situation where she's willing to do anything in her power to keep the baby. But it just seems like the very limited knowledge that I know, it seems like a better decision for this child to be placed for adoption into our family. And again, don't know the whole story, and it's not my story, it's her story. So I have all the respect and honor for her, but her decisions affect the rest of my life. The rest of my life. They are already affecting me in my career choices, my career path, and in our day-to-day. It's like we're planning, everything we're doing right now is in light of the adoption. Our finances, our schedule, visiting family, my husband's job. He's already told his boss the baby's coming soon. Graham's school schedule. It's affecting my sleep. It's affecting absolutely everything. And then for it to fall apart, I just feel so overwhelmed by the emotions. And I just cried on the phone with the adoption specialist. Just cried and cried. And I don't want to be rude, but at the same time, some of it is just brass tacks. Like, if this adoption's not going to happen, then we want to be matched with someone who is going to place. And again, you don't know those things until the paper is signed. But you can tell, like, is someone wavering every single day? Is someone wavering once a month? Like, I think there has to be a way to kind of assess where the expectant mom is in her journey, at least a little bit. And so, while wanting to have so much respect for our birth mom that we're matched with currently, we also want to continue moving forward in our story, which means if this isn't going to happen, and she's pretty sure in her heart she's not going to do this, she needs to release us, in my opinion. So I'm praying that we can get more answers in the next few days, and that she will communicate her plan and her desires very soon, so that as a family we can be, I just think about every decision we're making right now is in light of this adoption. Hi, I'm Amy Sylvestre, and if you don't know who I am, this is my channel, and I am here because we talk about family, we talk about adoption, we talk about our faith, we talk about child loss, and we are acquainted with all those things very well. So welcome to my channel. I wanted to pick up the camera. I'm not really prepared at this moment to do this, but I literally minutes ago hung up the phone with our adoption specialist, and we've had a rough week this week with our adoption. We have been matched with a baby, and the baby's due in less than a month, 28 days. I'm not counting. Yeah, I'm counting. But we found out 2 days ago that the potential birth mom is, she's wavering on her decision to place for adoption, which is completely understandable. It's a huge decision, and it's permanent. It's a permanent decision for her and for the child. And so I understand why she would waver. But I'll be honest with you, like, I've pretty much just cried since we got that phone call. I was like useless yesterday. I just did like what I had to do. and that was pretty much it. It's also like 0 or negative number temperature here in the Chicago area with lots and lots of snow. So that was demotivating. But on top of that, we got this news that the potential birth mom is, there are just a few different factors going on that for her would change things. The mom that we're matched with, who is planning or was planning to place for adoption, there are several different factors going on for her that in the last 2 days has caused her to really consider parenting. And I completely understand why she would want to do that. I mean, it's her child, and every adoption story is unique, and I just want to share our journey with you. And so we've already had one disruption in the summer. We were matched for maybe 6 or 7 weeks, and that mom just kind of disappeared. We don't know what happened with her. We assume she had the baby and she's got the baby, but she just stopped communicating with all parties. And so that disruption happened. And then prior to that, we had a stork drop, which means the baby was already born, and they were going to place the baby with us. And before we booked flights, we were supposed to fly out the next day. They called and said it's not going to happen. And so we've basically had 2 disruptions already. And now today we're going through our 3rd disruption, where the mom has decided at least there's a part of her that wants to parent and is going to try to make it work. And some of that I'm assuming because our social worker has not heard back from her in the last few days. The last conversation they had was around her considering parenting. And so just for our emotional health, we have decided to stop the match. And if she comes back around and she wants us to parent, we're not going to say no. Of course, I have clothes washed. We have a name picked for this child. We know the gender, and so we've just moved forward with everything as if we're getting a baby in our home in a few weeks. And it's just devastating to not think that's going to happen anymore. And there's no timeline for it. So now we had a timeline that we were going to be getting a baby in 3 weeks, and now it could be 3 months, 6 months. I mean, it's been 7 months since our last disruption, so it could be 7 more months. We've already had 2 Christmases where I thought we could have a child placed with us, and we've already, it's been a long time. We've been right at 18 months, so we're just a few weeks shy of 18 months waiting, and we started the process months before that. So I've just cried and cried the last 2 days. Today has been a little bit better. I think I had a lot more to do today, and so I was distracted, and I couldn't focus on it as much. And I just feel like we're just going to have to keep moving forward no matter what, in terms of the rest of our life. And we have a lot of other things going on with work stuff for my husband and for me. And then we have our home, and we have Graham, who's 4.5. And so we have a lot of other things that we're focused on. But I will say that we've been making decisions in light of we're adding an infant to our home in a few weeks. Everything we're doing right now has led up to, silly things I need to clean this closet out and take stuff to Goodwill and to Salvation Army and just get things donated and get the house organized, because we could be gone for 2 to 3 weeks, waiting for paperwork to clear in another state. We live in a quite cold climate. The baby would be born in a warm climate. So I'm trying to figure out do we need, we got to pull out warm clothes. And so every little thing, every day, there's something that's oh yeah, I need to get this in the mail. I need to return this item from Christmas. We need to get all these things done because I'm anticipating us being out of town, and then also anticipating when we get back, I'm going to have a newborn and an almost 5-year-old, or he might already have turned 5. So we're not going to be exactly bored. And so I just think everything we're doing has been in light of the due date of this baby. And even speaking with the birth mom before our match was official, she even said she thought she might have the baby a little early. So then if she had the baby early, then we're only 2 weeks. So to get this news, just moments, literally moments it feels like, before you're supposed to be bringing a baby home, to now know it may not happen at all, or it might happen in a year. Like to go from like 14 to 28 days that you're supposed to have a baby to it could take up to another year. It just feels very weary, and I have cried a lot since that phone call came 2 days ago. And I just spoke with our social worker and shared our concerns, and there's not anything she can really do. I mean, she can't make an adoption happen, and she can give us advice, and she can be on our team, and she can advocate for us. But at the same time, there's not anything that she can change about this situation. She can't make the birth mom call them back and give them news. She can't, yeah. So it's just, we're just in this holding pattern of, we don't know what's going to happen. And, I mean, even with work stuff, like I've taken less work. Like I'm a freelance, most of my work is freelance or contract. And so like I've turned down work because I'm thinking I can't pull that project off. I'm about to have a baby. There was another job opportunity that would have been phenomenal, and I didn't pursue it. I didn't go forward with it because it collided exactly with the due date of this baby, and I just feel sick about it. I know that God is steering all of this story, but it is exhausting. It is humbling. It is sad. And I never dreamed it would take us this long to adopt. And I know that there are other families that it took a long time, but a lot of them were international adoptions. They weren't domestic adoptions. And so I've just been really surprised that we're this far in. I just, not that we're anything special, I just didn't think that we would be in this spot. And so I just have got to trust God in it. And last night I really reached a place where I'm like, should we even continue in the adoption journey? And I've come to that question on a few occasions. And it's not because I don't want a child. I would do almost anything to grow our family. And I really think that adoption is a beautiful thing, and really want to grow our family through adoption. But I've even thought like, well, maybe I'll just put my own health at risk and have another baby, but I always circle back to that's not really the best thing for my body and for our family. It's just too risky. I could go into it, but it's just not the best situation for me to carry another baby. And so, for several different reasons, and I've shared some of those here, in other videos, but that's where I am though. I have days, yesterday I was like, okay, like how can I carry another baby? Like what can I do to ensure our child would be healthy and that it wouldn't nearly kill me? And like, the odds aren't good. And so, but that's where I am when you're just so desperate. You're like, I don't know how to make any of this happen. It's a completely 100% out of control situation. And it's terrifying, and it's overwhelming, and it's sad. And it's so hard that I reach moments that I'm ready to pull the plug altogether. We would lose a lot of money. But I think the emotional investment is so hard because you're continually no matter what you do, and I think in my last video that I talked about disruption on, we're not in this spot. I was talking about our past disruption, not our current one. And it's, I encouraged everyone, like, go do all the things you're dreaming about doing now. Like, don't wait for placement with your baby. If you want to take a trip, you know, all that's true. And I think that Corey and I have done that. Like, I don't think we've said we're going to wait on all these different things to like until the adoption happens, or we've had to tweak things with our finances, and we've had to, there are things we've had, like work stuff we've had to, like, I've had to decide like certain things, but overall we've just lived our life. We've done big trip, like did one big trip, and that was to Hawaii, and you can see that video here. At least I'm gonna plan, if it's not there it will be. And then, you know, there are things that we've done that we've, you know, tried to do things that we're like, okay, we don't want to wait for the adoption for these things to happen. And at the same time, you can't help but put some things on hold. There's just not a way, specifically with my ministry stuff and career stuff. Like, I feel like I've done a lot of those things that I've wanted to do, but there are some things I just cannot pursue when a baby's on the way. Not with my husband's work schedule. He has no flexibility in his schedule, and there's not a way for him to, he doesn't get any kind of like paternity leave, or, I mean, I guess he could take leave with no pay, but the reality is like, we would try, the time he gets off would be for the signing of the paperwork, the birth, the signing of the paperwork, placement, that kind of thing. And then he would have to come back. So then he'd come back full force, jump into work full time, more than full time, and on call, all of that. And then I would be the one managing our home and managing our son Graham, and then the baby, and you don't know how baby's going to sleep, all that stuff. And so I can't take a brand new job and say, oh yeah, I'll dive in and give my whole heart to something when you're expecting an infant, you know? And so it's just really tough. And we've been in that spot now 3 times where you're like, well, the baby's coming, or, oh gosh, the baby's here, so I'm not going to do this or that. And then it falls apart. And so I just look back and I'm like, am I making the best decisions for our family? Am I making the best decisions for just our finances? Am I making the best decisions for our home? And the emotional roller coaster is like none other. And I mean, like, I compare it to, like, let's say you were dating somebody who was not good for you. If they put you on this kind of roller coaster, I would tell you to get out like yesterday. Like, you don't need to date someone who's going to make you go on this level of roller coaster mode, you know, like you, it wouldn't be healthy. So then you're like, I'm going to put myself in a situation where the roller coaster doesn't ever stop, and the crashes are, you know, it's just up and down and up and down and up and down. So I just wanted to share how I'm feeling today as I like literally hung up the phone. Like I said, I wasn't really prepared to do this video today. I knew that the disruption was potentially coming because we left the conversation Wednesday was, if we don't hear from the mom we're matched with right now by Friday, then we will break the match. And what that means is we can now be shown to moms who are deciding to place. And when you're matched with someone, that does not happen. And so if there's a mom out there right now who likes our profile, then we can know about it. We could potentially talk with her and maybe get matched. Whereas otherwise, like, we're not shown. We're kind of locked in with the situation we've been in. But all that scares me, because if they call me and they're like, oh, the baby's due in 6 months. Well, now you're waiting 6 months again for someone who could then change their mind. And I don't want to wait 6 more months. I was expecting a baby in 2 to 3 weeks. And so it's just hard. Really, really, really hard. And I know that I'm not the only person who's gone through multiple disruptions with adoptions. And it's overwhelming and sad, and it makes me cry a lot. And my friend's texting me, my friend Jen, who, she's an adoptive mom. She just texted me with a little cry face, and asked me how I was doing. I'm doing terrible. I'm just going to be blunt and honest. I am not handling this well, and I am so sad, and I want to throw in the towel. That's how I'm doing. I don't think I'll always feel like that, and honestly, my husband really wants us to keep going, and he's my encouragement in it, and he's such an amazing dad. Like, I want to do everything I can to let him raise more children because he's an incredible dad. So I don't want to deny that because I'm worn out, you know. But I do feel sad, overwhelmed, and like I want to move forward in our life. I want to have our family and move forward. And I feel like we're always like back and forth, and we're kind of getting jerked around. And I think my emotional capacity is a little bit lower because we walk, you know, it's not even been 3 years since we lost our son Hudson. And we spent almost a year, we spent 9 months in the hospital with him. And then about 9 months after he passed away, we started just investigating adoption because we knew it could take a long time. Here we are. We knew we weren't ready at that moment to adopt, but we knew we wanted it at some point. And so we started walking towards it slowly, and then we jumped in when we felt a little more ready. But I'll just leave this with saying, like, disruption stinks. Failed adoptions stink. It hurts so bad. If you've experienced that or you're experiencing it right now, I am so sorry. And I hope with all my heart that there are follow-up videos to this that show you the wait is worth it all. Because as of right this second, like I'm so beaten up by the process of adoption. So beaten up. And I have a really good friend of mine, and they are amazing people. Amazing people. And they've had a crib set up in their house for 2 years waiting to adopt. And we just set ours up not that long ago, but we're still like months of the nursery. It's like practically ready. You can't set it up with gender-wise until you know for sure, and you know, all that. So I'm just overwhelmed with how hard the process is, and just want to reassure you that you're not alone in your adoption journey. I'm so sorry if you've experienced disruption, and if you are in the adoption journey and you haven't gone through it, I hope you never do. And I will say, like, I have all the I'm so humbly proud of moms who place their children for adoption because they have other I'll just finish by saying, like, thank you so much for listening to our adoption journey and being along for the ride. And there are no guarantees in adoption. And I do hope that the summary of these videos about our adoption journey, with all the paperwork and the fingerprinting and the disruptions, in the end, there is a child. And we can show you that this is where the culmination of all the waiting does bring you. Again, I'm Amy Sylvestre. I thank you that you would want to follow our journey of family, faith, adoption, and hope and child loss. And we hope that you will stick around. Give us a thumbs up, because that's how families who are interested in adoption, suffering child loss, just want to connect with our family, find us. And so if you'll share us with others who are in the process of adoption, share us with families who are hurting because they're grieving, any kind of grief. I don't have all the answers, but I know one thing is for sure. Don't grieve alone. Don't go through adoption alone. Come do it alongside us. We invite you in. Join our group, join our page, join our channel. Follow along. We'd love to hear from you and hear about where you are in your adoption journey. And you're so loved, and you don't have to be alone, so come along. Bye.